This is the Momentum Podcast.
I just got back from Austin. I'm not driving. Whenever I'm in a car, people think I'm driving. I have a driver here. And I wanted to share just a quick story. So yesterday I went out to lunch with my friend Seth Ellsworth, and I got the opportunity to meet his wife Michelle and his daughter Stella, who is amazing. And we were having a conversation about somehow we got around to trauma therapy. I think Seth was talking about some stuff that was going on with him, and I suggested that maybe he'd want to look at it. And it was interesting. Michelle said, where I was sharing with her that in our high-level mastermind, we have a grow and scale mastermind where every business is over $3 million. And we are constantly talking about trauma therapy and acknowledging trauma and understanding yourself better, especially when we're in person, the conversation comes up. And it seems to be this massive accelerator when someone gets into EMDR or starts seeing a therapist, or really EMDR is a huge key. They almost always grow their business fast, like in a very quick period of time. In fact, we've seen businesses go from multiple millions to tens of millions over and over again. And trauma therapy seems to be like one of the consistent things that we see in our mastermind. And Michelle said, what if you have somebody in there who doesn't have trauma of any kind? And I looked at her straight in the face, and I'm like, there is no such thing as an entrepreneur with a business over $3 million that hasn't had trauma in their lives. So the same thing goes for professional athletes, same thing goes for Olympic athletes, same thing goes for high producers. When you can hold space for a $3 million business and all the pressure and noise that it causes and everything else that comes up for you as an entrepreneur, there's a reason. There's a reason you can hold that space. And it's typically because you've been in a situation in your life where there was so much pressure and noise that running a $3 million plus business doesn't feel as hard as what you've experienced in your life.
I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future. And instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be.
And the reason I'm sharing this is because I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs, I know I was one of them when I was younger, who don't understand that they've been traumatized, or as entrepreneurs where we are such optimists that we think like, I have it better than everybody else. I know people who have real trauma. I know people who've really gone through stuff. Like me, not that big a deal. I'm okay. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have as entrepreneurs is that we don't acknowledge what we've been through. We don't accept and analyze what we've been through so that we can get help with it. And it's interesting, whenever somebody tells me they don't feel like they've had trauma, I ask them a simple question. Are there periods of your childhood you don't remember? And they'll stand there for a second and go, well, yeah, but that's normal, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's normal because so much of the population has had childhood trauma. So much of the population has had trauma in their adult lives. So much of especially when you're in entrepreneurial rooms, we've been through things that really cause our nervous system to short circuit. And, you go through experiences where, you're lucid, you're there, but maybe like the DVR isn't even really recording and you're not getting all of it. It's because our bodies are programmed to save us from feeling too much. And so we won't remember everything. We won't really be present for everything. We'll check out of stuff. And if you're running a business and have a family and have people that you care about and love you, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to go explore where you do have some trauma, where you do have some pain. The most stuck entrepreneurs that I know are ones that haven't acknowledged that stuff, or go to a therapist and really don't tell them the truth, and don't get to a place where they're making progress with the trauma that they feel. And if you're willing to, and you want to have and you want to have true success, not just financial success, but you want to have true success where you feel good in your body, where you're excited about getting up every day, where you feel confident about what you're doing, where you are growing and expanding the things around you. It's one of the fastest ways to get there. It's one of the biggest shortcuts that I know of. And so if you're an entrepreneur, give yourself the gift of exploring the question, like, where in your life have there been times that may have caused you to short circuit? Where in your life have there been times that you may still be carrying around those feelings in your body? Where in your life have you had issues or challenges that you need to work through? And if you think that you don't have these, think about the last time you got reactive. Think about the last time you were triggered. Think about the last time that you maybe responded in a way that was unreasonable for the situation. If you're willing to explore that question, those questions, and be ruthlessly transparent with the answers and honest with the answers, I think you'll find that there's probably some places that if you explore, you're going to buy yourself a massive amount of leverage. And for those of you asking, traveling right now is very interesting. You see a lot of people in their trauma responses. People are terrified and scared. And one of the flight attendants today had on 2 masks, and they were tied so tight they were cutting into her face. And she didn't do the normal announcements. She actually did the announcement where she actually read off part of the criminal code and how much you would get fined if you caused her a problem. And I've never heard a flight attendant do that before. And she's doing that because she's been traumatized. I think right now we're in a place where the whole world collectively over the past couple of years has experienced massive, massive trauma. And so if this is a place you're willing to lean into, and I want you to know something, this takes a tremendous amount of bravery. I remember when I was 26 and I first started seeing an EMDR therapist. That was 22 years ago. When I first started seeing an EMDR therapist, I used to park down the street and walk to his office because I was afraid anybody would see my car in front. I never thought I would share openly that I saw a therapist and that I got help for mental health. And I felt like there was such a massive stigma around it. Today, I will talk to any entrepreneur who will listen, who has any of the 3 things that I just talked about, the triggers, the reactivity, the reactions that we have. I'll talk to any entrepreneur who will listen about how life-changing it is to go work through this. And so, maybe there's still a stigma, but I don't care anymore because I'm at the point where I know it is one of the biggest accelerators you can have for your business, for your financial success, and for success with your family and everything in life. Too many entrepreneurs out there are making a lot of money, but they're using that money to mask the pain and the suffering and the frustration and the issues that they have. And some of them you can tell by just looking at them that that's what's going on. And if you start working through this stuff, you can actually have the life that you want, the business that you want, the family that you want, and you can lose some of that reactivity. You can lose some of that pain. You can lose some of that anxiety and frustration and, difficulty sleeping and everything else that all those things that trauma causes. And, those things kind of build up on each other. And if you don't address them, things just get more challenging. And so, if you feel that reactivity like I was talking about, if there's parts of your childhood you can't remember, if there is, triggers that you have in the present day that you want to work through, the most effective trauma therapy I know of is EMDR. I've recommended it to now thousands of people. And once every month, somebody comes up to me, or once every couple of weeks, or once, I don't know how often it is. It's probably more often than I even notice now because it's so frequent. Somebody will say, hey, I saw your video or I heard your podcast on EMDR, started seeing a therapist, and it's just been life-changing. And so I highly recommend that you check it out too. And if you know somebody who needs this, maybe don't tag them, share them, or share this post. Or share it with them, take the link and send it to them through Messenger or text it to them and have them take a look, because if this is an area where you are willing to apply some work, it is an area where you will get massive amounts of leverage.